Welcome back to the Forge of Champion. It's Bring Your Son to Work Day. So I did. Thank you for joining me here, Asa. Appreciate it.
You can see clearly I'm his twin brother, so it's... We're identical twins.
Yep. Hi, Dad.
Hi. There we go. We acknowledged it.
Yeah.
You did well, you dank young memers.
I mean, sometimes I look across the desk and I think I should put my glasses back on.
I mean,
you know, I think I forgot to take off my 3D glasses.
I mean, to be fair, you're known for your dad jokes.
I'm probably the cringiest caster in the Forge of Champions. I lean into it.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
I'm happy with the what faces.
Scoundrel's not here to contest, so you're free.
Scoundrel can't contest. He can post memes and digs at brackets on Twitter all night long, but he doesn't quite get to the level of cringe that I find myself
daily.
You know, stuck in. It's a sad life. It's a dark life. I'm sorry, guys.
But it's your life.
It's my life.
And you've
Do you know what's not my life? Losing to ENCLAVE after
that's more
cringe-inducing.
That is much more cringe-inducing. That kind of yikes.
Yikes. Yikes is definitely the best word for it. And we have a slight disagreement. I think it was over-aggressive for them to try and end the game right there. They had the inhibitor. I don't think they needed to force that play. I think
they didn't need to. They could have.
I think even in the best scenario, they just end the game and it's really close.
Yeah,
so I think
that's fair.
The risk versus reward
is
the risk versus reward is far too large. You're better off just resetting and trying to take down another inhibitor at least before you go for that play.
I will always... Generally, I love aggressive play like that. Yeah, in that case, it was probably overly risky, but it was definitely possible.
It was possible. I agree with you.
I just don't think it was the reason they lost.
Well, I think it is.
I think they lose because Prelude is able to find a flash poppy knock-up into the base that allows ENCLAVE to not only almost ace their enemy, but also get a Baron, which then leads to 2 inhibitors taken
and a third one.
That was the tipping
point, but the turning point was the over-aggressive play on the inhibitor, where they could have just gone, okay, we've got the inhibitor, let's back off, reset, use that inhibitor advantage, so the wave pushes deep by itself to then rotate around the map, take the other 2 towers, and then close out the game efficiently. They would have been in an almost insurmountable position, but because they gave it up, and they gave up all their pressure across the map, it became so much easier for ENCLAVE to slowly get back into it, get themselves in a situation to get on Baron.
We're into picks and bans. It's game 2 here. Of course, ENCLAVE took game 1 eventually. Do Barrage change their game plan?
I actually think the draft, looking back on it, yes, you gave up the Akali. If your mid laner had played around it better, hadn't built tank into it, I think that was possible to play.
Yep,
I think the draft was actually all right for Barrage.
Yep.
Because I said I wasn't sure of the Talia. Looking back on it, I mean, that was a pretty good early game. That was pretty good overall trading that you got in that draft.
Yeah.
In the end game, kind of did come down to execution that they failed on.
I definitely would agree that they didn't quite execute on what the composition wanted to do to perfection, because it was, like we said, take over the mid-game and then control the game. They took over the mid-game and then tried to overforce. They didn't want to use control. They just wanted to go for every single play possible, and they accelerated it far too far to the point where they got overhyped.
Bardiono's looking at the Rakan here now. They swapped their Rakan ban for Akali. He wants to first pick the Rakan.
It has to be definitely what's on the mind here, and then...
Is that a Gragas?
You might force out a Xayah pick from ENCLAVE in this situation.
Yep.
Where obviously you deny the Xayah Rakan combo, one of the best bot lane combos in the game. But I think you have to pick it away at this point. You
see, no, the issue is Jakamaka, like Bardiono will pick Rakan regardless. So they're not even 100% sure that they want the Xayah. It's strange, but it's true. So I think the Lucian Braum has been one of the common things you take into it.
So yeah, I do think that the Braum is a fair point. The Braum Lucian also being available because the Braum wasn't banned this time around.
I'd also think even Varus Braum, just go attack speed based.
Because the Braum itself is a great counterpick to the Xayah where you get to deny all the feathers, so I can definitely understand that being an effective counterpick here. As I
think even going for this more standard Varus or Ashe as well instead of Lucian.
Yeah, Neo isn't quite seeing the Matrix this time around, but still you got the Braum at least.
Yeah, I mean, you can always lock that in later. Aatrox is up. It gives them a lot more room in the top lane.
Prelude likes to carry. Last game he was denied from being able to do that.
The weird thing for me is generally you want to use red side to get your top lane counter pick, so I wonder if they're trying to flex this to the mid lane.
That's definitely a fair flex, but it's only really good in certain matchups. It's, it can be pressured off quite well.
They did this against whom? Was it against
They've done
Barrage?
this previously.
It was against Barrage. They did this against Barrage, quite literally. Aaron played Aatrox in the mid lane, and they put Rumble up in the top lane.
Camille flex pick obviously between jungle and top lane. It's been a top lane pick quite heavily in the UK scene, but it's generally in more of the higher tier competitive play it's seen in the jungle nowadays.
The biggest thing I'm looking at is just Governor has generally leaned towards the tanks.
Yeah,
I
so
imagine
I imagine
Zorky's
this is
picking up the
jungle.
Camille. Yeah. I do like this, though, considering Barrage's biggest strength was that they won the early game. Camille could help with that.
So Camille, definitely known for her plays post level 6, being able to lock people down effectively.
Even
You
the
can
level
definitely
3,
set
but...
up, you can definitely set up things like, of course, level 3 is definitely effective, but what I like to look for is generally the setup from something like the Galio with it, where you get the... she goes in and then she has somebody to follow up on the fact that she's landed the Hextech ultimatum on a key target like Bendy, who we said last game went untouched through the entire late game. If you have someone like a Camille to lock him down, stop him from being able to do free DPS in the late game, you can let him have a late game carry and you can just shut it down.
Right now, it looks like Enclave are focusing their bans towards the jungle here, and there's going to be topside bans for the side of Barrage. Maybe an indication that the Camille is in fact going towards the top side.
Potentially. I'm looking at... I mean, it's definitely possible. I mean, it's not like Governor can only play tanks. It's just he's generally leaned towards that playstyle, which is why you generally figure that. I'm now much more interested in what Enclave are trying to counterpick with, because they had both Darius and Urgot banned away from the last game.
Yep.
If a pick in the top lane for Barrage is counterable by those things, does Prelude lean towards it?
I think he would. And we will see, of course, the final ban come through as a Varus towards Bendy, respecting the backline threat that he was able to perform.
Of course, Varus, there's so much utility as well on top of it, the ability to shred through tanks.
Jin's left open.
Yeah.
Ashe is open.
Yep.
Ash is open as well, of course.
So, I mean, Bendy's not lost for choice at this point.
So Ashe, yeah, known for a fairly strong laning phase, utilizing the volley to great effectiveness, so he can effectively pin down Illusion, but instead going for a champion with a very weak early phase.
Very weak game. She's a weak champion.
Yeah,
I feel like that's
pretty
fair to say. I mean, later on, this runs into the exact same problem I had with them last game. It's like, it's great that you can pop off in the late game. If that doesn't happen, if you don't get there, then you're in a massive amount of trouble, and the way Barrage are drafting means that they don't really want to get there.
We actually talked about Tristana a little bit at lunch. We were saying about Tristana, a champion that was very good in terms of the early game and pushing with the E, then scales into the late game where she can make things happen with a long range. But they nerfed the auto attack range, they nerfed the E significantly. Now she's got a weak early, a weak mid, and a weaker late than some of the better carries. So doesn't really have an identity right now, but what she does do is thrive in the chaos of picks like Aatrox and Braum.
Wow, look at that. So, Graves gets locked in, confirming Camille will go towards the top side here. Looks like Zorky wants to continue carrying from the jungle with his early game. Now, Cassiopeia locked forward here. As a blind pick, how do you feel of Cassiopeia?
I mean, it's all right if you can play it. I don't think it's the worst blind pick in the world. I'm just very interested now. I think it's kind of assuming that the Aatrox is mid. I kind of like it.
A blind pick that also can play well into Aatrox.
Yeah.
So it's something that's effective as both. The thing I'm really interested though is that it's going to be Camille top lane, so they get the counter pick and they go for Fiora.
That's
which
a fun
is,
one.
Yeah, this is it was honestly when Camille's release, people were saying, "You've said Riot, you've said Camille's a dueler. To what extent is that?" And they said, "Well, not as good as Fiora, but still a pretty good dueler." So it's really what Camille can provide to the rest of the team in terms of her playmaking potential. And if she can use the lockdown effectively to do things away from the side lane, because her side lane definitely does get outscaled by the Fiora.
I mean, the great thing about Fiora as well into Camille is as soon as the hook shot is traveling, you still have plenty of time to use the riposte, and that completely counters a lot of what Camille wants to do.
Yep.
So it becomes a very difficult trading pattern that you have to bring out, and now I'm looking towards these lanes from Enclave. They're not hugely convincing to me, but at the same time, Barrage have looked weaker previously. Based on that game one, though, you'd be leaning towards Barrage's early game.
Yeah, you would be. Last time they played Aatrox, mid lane was against Barrage. Aaron played it into Seb. It was a 34-minute game, I believe, from Enclave, where they kind of struggled early a little bit, but then controlled the mid and the late game, and were able to close out in a relatively clean fashion towards the end. Barrage have shown that they've cracked the code on the early game, at least in game 1, and that they were able to control the mid game. So for Barrage, it's all about continuing those win conditions to not really allow Enclave to get there.
I mean, let's look at this from Barrage's point of view as well. This could potentially be their last game in Forge of Champions. They really want to show up, potentially picking some of these comfort picks they've been sitting on, the likes of the Graves and the Camille that we haven't really seen from them in the past. Like, I would like to see if these are things that they've been holding on to, that they're now ready to perform on.
So they picked the Camille before they saw the Sejuani locked in. And when they see Sejuani, such a low early game pressure jungler, they're free to go, okay, actually, we want to go for something with even more early pressure than the Camille. We want to go hard in on Graves. We want to get directly into Monkiz' face. And I think it's a flex. I did think they initially planned on going for that Camille in the jungle, and then they switched to the Graves later.
Yeah, what I like as well is that Graves is great in following up with the lockdown that Rakan provides, that Camille provides, post 6 especially. So...
all squishies there.
Yeah.
Definitely great targets for Sejuani in this composition. And you can see that from the fact that they've had to go for Seb going for that cleanse in the mid lane.
Yep.
Just wants to be able to survive the potential lockdown of a Glacial Prison. Of course, the Braum stun as well. There's going to be opportunities for her to use that cleanse effectively.
I mean, what I will say for ENCLAVE is they have a really strong front line.
Yeah.
However, their whole team fights and stuff might take a little bit of time to scale unless they win the lanes. If they start falling behind, they do really start to struggle from the kind of hard aggression, more damage, higher damage side even from Barrage.
And how do you play around two heroes, champions here from ENCLAVE that are kind of known for their... I've been watching some Invitational,
For shame.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
For
guys.
shame.
Boo.
Boo, yeah, I know. It's the other one.
I believe you had a question, though.
Yeah. So, ENCLAVE, they've got Fiora.
Yep.
Split pusher. They've got Aatrox, split pusher.
1-3-1, exactly. And they've got a really good amount of disengage with Braum as well. So they've got a good 3-man unit. Tristana has a lot of wave clear when you get to that stage in the game as well. Sejuani and Braum, effectively a front line to keep her safe. So the 1-3-1's definitely online, and you got to see whether either Camille or Cassiopeia can hold on to Aatrox in the side lane. Because Fiora, we know, can outscale.
Yeah.
What I will argue is when you have a 1-3-1, there's enough engage from Barrage that if you just use the 3-man unit, they could just get jumped on by the likes of Camille and really struggle. But these are all kind of nuances based on how the game's going.
Yeah,
let's see how the early seeps go. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. If you can keep Fiora pinned in the side lane by giving an early game advantage to the Fiora, then Camille can't make those plays happen. Suddenly the 1-3-1 looks a lot more tantalizing. And that's where ENCLAVE can really start to take over the game.
Yeah, no, I agree. Barrage, very surprising game one. I don't think any one of us expected it to quite go in that favor for Barrage.
At least not in that manner.
Yeah, not in that manner is, I think, the fairest way to say it.
And honestly, it feels like a heartbreak towards the end as well. Because, I mean, we're British. We cheer the underdog regardless of any scenario.
Well, you're British,
sorry.
to clarify.
I'm actually not British, I'm Australian. So that was just the most untrue statement. You're Scottish.
Yeah, I don't like being called British either.
So, I mean, I'm sorry. That's a failure.
We are casting UK League of Legends.
We are casting
the
UK
safer statement.
Yep. You know.
This is a British league.
Yep.
We like cheering for the underdogs.
There
we go.
There we go. We did it.
There we go. We got there.
I mean, at one point, I assume we've all been the underdogs to England, unfortunately.
Australia? No.
Like, a little bit.
Well, I mean, did you watch the Ashes between the years of 2005 and 2012?
Well, I don't watch that weird sport, but yeah.
It's not... I mean, Scotland beat them.
I can be proud this day.
Interesting.
Dear. But then England destroyed Australia, so it was that. Yeah, I mean, we want Barrage to win. We're biased on the death.
Look, I always love the idea of an 8th seed beating 1st seed in any tournament.
Yeah.
It's just funny to me.
It would be really interesting because it either means a massive fall from grace or a massive step up, sometimes both.
Yeah, right now, it'd be fall from grace.
Yeah,
I mean, that seems the fairest. But honestly, it is a combination on the side that at least Barrage have shown that they can be more objective focused once they get those early leads, and they can really quickly accelerate. That was a quickly accelerated game.
And that they can get aggressive early leads against a team like ENCLAVE.
Well, we are going to find out exactly what Barrage can do against this monstrositas. That was not a word. ENCLAVE here.
I kind of like it as a word.
I failed
I wish it would. It was a word.
I should just write the English.
Monstrositas.
Yeah. I would love to, with my inability. My inability to talk. It's
don't worry, it's only your job.
Yeah. At this point, Barrage need to continue their early dominance. I think is the thing that I want to see from them.
Okay, so 1 minion dematerializes to 0. That should give Bendy a lot of an easier laning phase. We talked about the aggression and the power that comes to a Lucian Prakan. If you've got Hardo able to remove the cannon minion, you've got Bendy trying to use those E's effectively for wave clear, it makes it that much easier to try and survive at least the bot lane and not be as pressured by Zerg.
They're ready for the cheese though, because you've got Graves staying topside. So it is Lucian Rakan in the brush.
Yeah. Monkus is on the bot side and will be roaming towards able to
the reason
reinforce.
Bendy's staying far behind, yeah.
You knew this was going to happen surely as Enclave because it happened in game 1.
But Bendy at least getting a little bit of a trade back. They don't lose too much off of it. And now at least just, as we said, they just want to play the lane out slowly. They've got the scaling advantage in terms of a 1-3-1. We know that Fiora scales so well into late game. We know Tristana scales so well into late game. So they've got some mid-game playmaking potential as well around the Aatrox and Sejuani.
I really want to see Zorki make a quick level 2 play up towards the top side. As Graves, we know Monkus is on the bot side. It is
right now,
a really juicy subject here. We'll have to see if he's able to make any impact is the question.
Especially with how Prelude's controlling this lane thus far, it would make a hell of an impact.
Here we go. It is going to be Zorki in towards the top side. Here comes the riposte to be able to stun up Governor.
Doesn't even blow the flash.
Really clean from Prelude.
You can see he's gone for the Corrupting Potion as well. You can assume that's with Time Warp Tonic. Going for the Grasp of the Undying additionally. So there's a lot of safety on this Fiora during the laning phase. Seems like a very safe setup.
Ooh, look at this! First blood for Eren! And it just looked so easy.
Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
it was though. You can walk out of that W.
Yeah, you can be electrocute.
Flash out of that W.
Well, when he landed that W.
But here's top lane as well.
Yep, it's going to be Monkus coming. Prelude sticks around.
Oh,
great knockup
nice
from Monkus
disruption.
to stop Governor. Has to force the flash. That's going to be Summoner's Burnt in the top side.
And this is a much better start from Enclave. They get another early kill from Eren, performing once again in the matchup against Seb. And in the meantime, Prelude getting big advantages.
This is more what we expected from Enclave coming into this series.
Yes, definitely.
Second time this series, though, that Seb in the mid lane has kind of just not escaped a gank. I mean, against a Poppy, maybe it's a little bit harder, but that first blood, which we're about to see in just a second, it was like he didn't respect the threat.
Yeah, I didn't respect the threat, to be honest. If it really hit.
But look, he just didn't walk out
Yeah,
at the time.
he almost got out. If he got out, he'd be fine. But then this slam and the final auto attack ends up being the empowered one from his passive as well, which he gets again from landing all those auto attacks. So it puts him in a situation where he's got lethal range from much further than I think Seb gave him credit for.
What a beautiful reworked champion this is.
Look at the rush in terms of cooldown boots here.
Holy
from Eren.
moly.
Really interesting start. Trusts in the base damage of his abilities. Just wants to spam them out.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be a trouble for Seb. Already knew that he was going up against his Aatrox, pretty much anticipated it as the Cassiopeia, especially after their Week 7 game in the 4th qualifying tournament. You know, they've already done this. Here comes Monkus. This time Seb does have the flash. This time you expect
the
a flash towards your enemy. And
okay, so I can see what he intended to do. He intended to flash one way and ult the other. He ends up flashing and ulting in the same direction and fails to play.
You don't ult at level 4. I'm sorry. I don't want to be that guy.
My bad. The animation of throwing the miasma out backwards. He wanted to flash in miasma. Sorry.
Yep.
You don't want to be that guy, but you're being that guy. It's my fault.
It is your fault. Yeah. You should feel
It's
bad
all
about
my
it.
fault. I should feel ashamed.
I should have been brought you to work.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, son.
I've disappointed my dad. This isn't the first time.
Wow, this is not a good start for Seb, to say the least. Probably the weak point in game 1 for Barrage, and Enclave have recognized it because they are hammering down on that nail.
And, I like what Enclave have been able to do thus far, because you see the bot lane isn't being pressured too hard. They're able to hold up in CS, like we said. With the minion dematerialize, it makes it a lot easier. Hardo can get the gold from the cannon that much easier without having to contest it and really trade to do with it. Prelude earning great advantage in the top side because that flash and TP had to be burned from Governor. Still holds on to his own summoners as well. And now Eren, we see what he's doing.
I mean, he would have died if if Eren connected his W there, you feel.
Yeah, it's a rough situation. Of course, you can't go boots to find an easier way to get out of that either. You have to just wait for your level up to give you more movement speed.
Going aggressive in the bot lane here. Good damage laid down by Jakamaka and Butt. But lots of mana used up in that. Here comes Eren.
Oh,
it's going to be a 2 versus 2. Zorki in all the wrong places, and that's going to be him in trouble, flashing over the wall away from Eren.
Great job here from Eren, sitting on those 2 kills already, starting to build up that advantage that we expected him to build in the mid lane, just like he did last game. A lot safer than the Akali though on this Aatrox.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with your ultimate as well to
the world ender, yeah.
Yeah, to bring you back from the death. And Aaron just controls this lane. Nothing that Seb can do.
This is the thing with the W here. With Cassiopeia, she wants to be able to just walk out of that. And normally in that situation, you're getting hit by a lot of skill shots like that, where you just need a little bit more movement speed. It's so easy to go, okay, I'll just go back and buy boots. You can't buy boots from Cassiopeia.
Looks like we're going to get an engage here. Zorki's in the bot side. They might be able to find Haddo. He's pretty low. Ignite, but the heal will keep him alive.
Just dashes away to a minion, able to escape, but forces the heal out from Bendy as well, so...
Monkus, though, moves straight up until the top side here. Governor being forced into a fight by Prelude. Won't overstep with the control ward in the bush. We'll know of the presence of the jungler. So far, it just feels like Barrage aren't quite firing on the same gas that they were in game 1. Not able to find that advantage in the bot side. I mean, Aaron won mid lane single-handedly as Akali, so nothing's changed there, but in this side, Zorki just hasn't been able to have the impact he wants.
See, it seems a lot more dominating than it looks in terms of CS. It's, he's been zoning him off of the waves very well, but Cassiopeia still picking up those CS, still remaining only one wave behind.
Yeah. Governor on a slightly non-characteristic champion here of the Camille. I'm really intrigued to see his impact. Without the teleport, we won't see any cross-map stuff, and against a Fiora, it's not really going to be much, but as this game goes on, maybe you find something.
See, Governor here, he has the item advantage. If you look at the, you look at what he's got those 2 longswords, and Prelude, he really wants to go back to base, but he's being pinned down under his tower, effectively, by Governor.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty good stuff from Governor, being able to dominate so far. Monkus will be caught up to the top side. There's going to be the engage coming on through as Prelude starts it up. Oh, it's another great cancel. Monkus just too good. And it is, of course, going to be Governor under his turret, losing his life to Prelude to the riposte. But the turret fires one more. It's a trade. Oh no, it went so wrong. Whoops-a-daisy.
So it looks like he missed the Q due to the
going fine into the bot side here. I'll have to see how aggressive. No, it doesn't look like they're going to go too aggressive here. Zorki's in the top side against Monkus.
What we ended up seeing was Prelude. He fired out the Q. Governor uses the ultimate to cause him to miss that Q. He doesn't get the cooldown in time, so we're going to see the play from the start get Governor. He ends up going in, buying into the trade, but great again, Monkus. He's done this twice. Great interruption. And he's standing against that wall though, so he can't land that last vital. And you did see, as he ulted, Prelude missed that Q, so he doesn't have the Q available here to dash back out.
Yep.
With the cooldown not being available, you get reduced cooldown if you land it on a champion. With it missing the champion, no reduced cooldown, no dash available, he dies to tower.
Yeah, and of course, he was able to proc that last passive as well. He would have got his ultimate health
just
back as well.
Just standing against the wall, it's ends up so effective against Fiora in that situation, where she just can't land that last vital.
Yep. So, 3-1 so far. Enclave have found themselves in a kill lead. Gold-wise, it's only a 400 difference due to the fact that when you look towards the bot side, Jakamaka is having the time of his life.
Of course, the jungle CS advantage as well adds up. And Prelude's going to try and help eventually get that into a lead. He's actually struggled a little bit more than we'd expect in lane versus the Camille, but just off of different base timings, holding onto his teleport effectively as well. So just choosing to trade the fact that he's holding onto that summoner for the
Zorki's in trouble here. Haddo and Monkus, no flash to get away. I mean, this is just straight up dead. They'll give the kill over to Aaron nice and easily. Uses that world ender just to, just to style on the kid.
No, it just ends up using it for the movement speed. You get massive out of combat movement speed when you use it. Rank 3, it's actually 270 out of combat movement speed you get when you use that world ender. So it really helps you collapse on a fight.
Right now, Prelude wanted to go in on Governor, but Governor is not going to allow it. Just gets out of town. Lets those vitals reset.
And Governor will have the Hextech ultimatum up again soon, so Prelude, ultimate mismatch. You can see maybe Graves look up towards that top side and try and punish the use of that ultimate from Prelude.
Huge gold advantage, almost 1,000 in the mid lane for the side of Enclave. Just really shows how this Aatrox has dominated the matchup. And we talked about how in game 1, Aaron got that lead on the Akali, but didn't really convert it into much. And it feels like at least in this game, through the side lane pressure that he's had roaming towards the jungle as well, it's just that much more that ENCLAVE have some more of an insurance through the mid lane.
I think it's definitely down to me the difference between this game and the last is Monkiz. Monkiz has had a much more effective presence on the map. He's been ganking top lane and making things happen, putting Governor in a situation where he can't take over that lane. He's been ganking mid lane, and he actually allowed Eren to get even further ahead. He gave him that second kill mid. He gave him that third kill just off of mid.
Cheeky play here from Zorki. Gets the Drake down to 3,000 health, and I guess ENCLAVE says we'll take it, but here comes the teleport coming through from Governor. It is going to be a fight over this. It's going to be a secure from Zorki, steals it back. First kill goes the way of Bendy here. Jakamaka will take Monkiz down though. Can Eren have the impact he wants? Here comes Governor knocking everyone back out of the fight. Bendy goes down, but it's a trade onto the top laner. Ooh, they find another. Eren going to be chased on down by Zorki and Jakamaka and Zep, but finds a huge knock-up. May just keep him alive. Yeah, Jakamaka just about escapes. He needs to just get closer. Blast Cone, can he do it? Ooh, can he fight it? He needs the movement speed, but no, Eren. Oh, he gets it. The tip finds it. Jakamaka finds a kill. What a huge turnaround for Barrage.
You see her on the fight, just the TP, the full collapse, and Zorki able to confirm that secure. And Barcelona goes down early, but they get the turnaround here. They get Jakamaka free hitting, they get Zorki free hitting, and they're able to get so much damage down. Governor splitting up the team fight so effectively, a Hextech ultimatum. And Prelude, he never had the opportunity to clean that up. He didn't have the ultimate available for the team fight reset because he used it on the top lane, like we were just talking about moments ago. And they punished the usage of that ultimate for the fact that he had zero impact in that fight.
Absolutely incredible stuff coming through from Barrage. And earlier we did talk about the fact... Oh, I can't believe that connects. Beautiful stuff. Earlier we talked about the fact that Tristana...
just so the W actually feels like it does something as an ability.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the fact that Tristana won't have any impact in the early or the mid game, and that's where Lucian can kind of dominate in team fights. Governor gets away this time, doesn't quite get stunned up by Bendy. Yeah, he's fine. Walks
just
away.
Gonna get out with the hook shot, yeah. But that does give them the control over this Rift Herald. ENCLAVE want to be able to use this, and we said last game they wanted to be able to use it to snowball the game effectively and get themselves back in control in terms of tempo. Last time we saw Barrage just able to walk in and steal it away. This time it seems like a lot less of an ability to contest it, and they're just going to try and force mid instead, where they get the first turret, crucially.
Yeah, absolutely. Find the first turret, and it's in the mid lane as well. So that's pretty huge. Opens up the map for Barrage. They have found themselves in the lead gold-wise, potentially with a mid-game advantage from this Camille, from this Lucian. In the previous game, you have to praise the way Barrage were able to then accelerate their lead to something a little bit more surmountable. But here comes that Rift Herald in the mid lane, and it doesn't look like they're in position to contest. No. Here comes an engage. Bart just trying his best to wrap them all up, but it's not going to happen. Turret falls. They're able to secure a second, though.
Not enough members here.
The bot side. They will take this Rift Herald down pretty quickly.
But still gets that second charge off, and that's 1,500 damage done to the next tower. That's still a lot of poke onto that second tower.
Yeah, that's
true. It's going to make it much more easy to get it on a rotation. There's still, obviously, the top and bot lane towers that they want to focus on getting next, but it makes it so much easier to rotate around the map and get advantages.
I have to see if ENCLAVE are able to soon enough exploit the fact that the tier 2 mid lane turret is weak. But Barrage are continuously showing really good signs of hope here in this game. I just want to see their next strike more than anything, because it feels if they don't, then ENCLAVE just scale up on their Fiora, scale up on their Tristana, and it's a bit rough.
This has been a much better game from Governor than what we expected to see. He's actually been able to pressure his lane effectively, and even though he's had these ganks thrown at him from Monkiz, he's retained fairly even in CS, he's got those kills as well, and he managed to have impact on that fight in the bot side. But also, I think we have to say, Jakamaka in both games has managed to garner himself an early game advantage in skirmishes, rather. And having that Blade of the Rune King, and now building towards the Black Cleaver, we talked about it, it's the 20-minute spike that he really wants to be coming online for. Who else is coming online around that? You've got to think that it's going to be Cassiopeia finishing off that Archangel Staff around that point in the game. It's going to be Graves having the Black Cleaver as well. All these item spikes come together. They can still make an effective team fight happen before ENCLAVE comes online, before the Tristana is really able to hit like a truck like she can in the late game.
Really good opportunity here. ENCLAVE have a bit more map control right now than Barrage potentially realize. Have to be pretty careful about this top lane, because if a fight does break out, Eren gets there far quicker, and knowing that he's pushed in the wave, knowing exactly where Seb is, that's going to be the move immediately from ENCLAVE coming on in. Turret is there to escape behind, but it doesn't matter. Jackamacka's locked up. Can they turn this around? That's a great charm, but nah, that's Jackamacka dead. Can't escape the fight. That's just it.
Look at Monkus' kill participation this game. There's been 1 kill on the map that he wasn't involved in. So he has been making the play.
And there was first blood.
He's been getting back into it. It was just that solo kill for Eren that he wasn't involved in. So definitely great play from him, making things happen in the early game for ENCLAVE and making sure that the mistakes of last game aren't present again.
Yeah, absolutely. And just disrespect coming through from Barrage there. ENCLAVE so quick to commit to that when they realize the position. Here comes Eren looking for Governor under the turret.
Again, the World Ender just for movement speed.
Yep. Here he comes under the turret. Now knocked up. I mean, he could just tank this up. Governor has to get away. We'll get away for now, but...
Gets the Ignite.
Get the Ignite, but it doesn't matter because that bot lane turret falling and the Barrage can't really result with it. They can't contest that turret either, so it's just going to fall.
Yeah, nice roam there by Eren to get himself onto the play as we see Fiora using that Demolish, help her take down the tower that much quicker. We can see the top lane, it's getting closer and closer.
It is, and it's what you expect a Fiora to do as well, is to be able to start scaling up in the matchup and becoming a little bit too hard to deal with. Camille, of course, has had a good time early, but starts to fall off in this matchup. Now it's going to be Raj committing towards this top side. Eren able to roam from the mid. Has to be a very quick turret take. They've got a double 80 threat, so it will go down relatively quickly. And so they are able to trade.
Now we see that second dragon in the game. Another Ocean Drake. This is the second time in a row we've seen 2 Ocean Drakes.
Yeah.
Seeing that early game love, but it does actually give a lot of work to junglers and give them that regen. So it starts to fall off though as the game goes on, and what you really want to have the Ocean Drakes for is you get the advantage in the early game, and by the time they're irrelevant, you're looking at, okay, now this is another stack for Elder Drake.
Yep. Yeah, no, absolutely. A condition that Barrage weren't able to quite find for themselves in the previous game.
The reason that happened last game though is because they lost control of the map and they weren't able to take that final dragon, which delayed the Elder Dragon spawn for about 6 minutes.
ENCLAVE have found their move here in towards the top side. Seb said to try and clear waves. Governor will join the rest of the team roaming to make sure that a fight can't generate under this turret.
You can see the kind of style that Monkus is going for here. The fact that he's going Cinderhulk directly into Gargoyle's stone plate.
But look at this. I mean, already it's Eren roaming down to the bot side. Prelude has got this turret set up. They're going to be able to steal away that red buff. It doesn't feel like Barrage are actually getting much from these map rotations.
It does, yeah, really put Prelude in a position where he's just free to hit this tower repeatedly. He's free to draw as many members to his lane as possible. And he's got the ability to back off into now Eren and Monkus, should he be collapsed on, and that's exactly what he looks to do.
Drake secured here by Monkus this time. 1 Ocean apiece.
And not giving up like it was in that last team fight where Zorki did steal that one away. So, still a 1-for-1 would be, 1 dragon for 1 rather, would be worse if you did see those 2 Ocean Dragons being given over, where Prelude just gets to sit in a side lane and heal back up to full consistently because he's just hitting minions, he's just PvEing.
At this point, you have to wonder what's going through Barrage's head. This is potentially their last game in the Forge of Champions. They want to go out with a bang. Clearly they want to find a win here over ENCLAVE. That would be such a good result for them in this second game. They always found in the first tier. ENCLAVE feels like they're just looking to try and play as cleanly as possible. Yeah, they won game 1, but it wasn't pretty.
Credit where credit is due though. Barrage has stepped up definitely a lot further than we expected them to from the play that we saw in the previous tournaments. They've gotten themselves into a position where they can actually compete with ENCLAVE. They've not fallen massively behind in gold early. They've not given up advantages all across the map. They've actually been competing consistently. And whether that be down to the mistakes of ENCLAVE or not, they're punishing those mistakes.
Yeah, that's true. And in the mid lane, actually, Seb's kind of been able to match some of that CS difference that he found himself missed out on. We will resume this game.
See if he builds a Thorn Mail or something.
Now, this time the items seem to be all going towards a common goal.
Hey, I mean, like, he's a magic damage dealer, right? Brahmi Cinder does magic damage. That works.
Yeah, you're right. Thorn Mail is magic damage, isn't it, as well?
Yeah. He's a magic damage dealer. Well, of course it's relevant. But in all fairness, he's going to have a lot better of a game this game. He's going to be able to build into the Leandries and, of course, the Morellonomicon, which you assume will be next, reducing the...
You would assume, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Reducing the healing from the Aatrox and the Fiora, of course, who are going to be wanting to heal up a lot in those late-game team fights.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Where you can actually start to do damage and will have that magic penetration. It's going to be at least able to hold the waves better, at least able to hold a team fight better, where that miasma can really start to do work.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really good for Barrage to have a second damage dealer this game.
Definitely might it might help to have 2 damage dealers in the team, or at least 3 this game. In fact,
this game, yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of damage dealers more than last time. They've not gone for the full tank.
That's true. Lots of damage potentially. Barrage trying to regain control over this Baron pit here, as Prelude continues to split push, as you can see.
We can talk about what Zorky did early in the last game and what he's been able to at least compete with this game. He's done, put down some damage, but he was never able to transition those leads. You didn't really see him walk into a team fight and do a decent amount of damage in that fight. If you look at the damage graph in the end of the game, it was really underwhelming when you looked at Zorky's stats. So, him on this Graves, he needs to show me something.
Here it comes. Baron once more started up. It was the weakness of Barrage's game. In game 1, ENCLAVE were able to punish it so heavily. They would be able to get that scuttler for themselves for the zone control over that pit. But Prelude is such a threat, one that it feels like Governor can't maintain, and ENCLAVE are threatening this mid lane turret that's already been set up due to that Rift Herald that crashed into it earlier.
Yeah, it's like we talked about back then. It's just setting up advantages across the map that you can then later punish. And when they're going to be able to rotate Fiora into this top lane again, where she's been able to pick up these 2 towers in the bot lane, just simply rotate her around, she can start pushing those advantages in the other side. Then you can take control of the bottom side jungle, you can take control of Dragon upon the next spawn, and it gives Fiora the ability to make things happen, but you want to hold her in this bot side for now, so that the rest of your team can play around this top side, hold the Baron pit, start to contest vision there. But it's the moment you really want to play around that bot side, you have the ability to just switch Fiora up there, and she's got 2 free towers to take.
And the thing that ENCLAVE did so well in Barrage's final moments of the previous game was hold them at an arm's length. Oh wow, okay, they found Haddo. Haddo gets caught out.
That wasn't even what I was saying oh no to. I saw the Leandries torment and said oh no, and then he died. So this is not Morellonomicon coming up for Seb. Doesn't value the fact that all his opponents are going to be healing for a large amount, and he wants to reduce that. Nope, he wants to let them heal and rely on that percentage burn damage instead. He does get, of course, the bonus burn damage because he's going to be landing slows on people. It's going to be that max health damage that helps him burn down these tankier members like Monkiz and Eren. So it says to me that he wants to play front to back.
Yeah. Here it is. Monkiz potentially caught out as well. Can they follow this up is the question. Doesn't look like the engage
Same place
quite landed.
again.
Yeah.
But probably though, he's looking at this Nexus tower. Inhibitor tower rather.
Yeah, and then he's looking at the inhibitor and the inhibitor turret as well.
It's just like if you leave him in this side lane for too long, if you get to the point where ENCLAVE are able to force anything as that 4-man unit and draw Governor away from the side lane, suddenly Fiora's got the inhib. If Governor...
Engage coming out here. ENCLAVE potentially have caught Barrage out. Huge stun coming through. Seb locks the entire fight up, but it doesn't matter. Eren able to find the first kill, and it's onto the support. Here comes Governor, destroying Bendy. Where did he go? I didn't even see him anymore. Prelude's dead. Jakamaka finds a kill. Haddo trying his best to escape Governor, but I don't think he can do so because Zorky wants the kills. Haddo will be dead. Zeb and Eren just fighting it out. It's a 1-for-3 in favor of Barrage. And Baron is on the table.
And this is exactly what we talked about as the difference between the Fiora and the Camille.
Marcus is dead!
The Camille does,
okay.
Yes, the Camille does not win the side lane, but when it comes to teamfights, when she can lock down Bendy like that and punish him for being out of position, she gets the kill, she gets her team the Baron, and now they look in control of the game.
Do not look the Snake Lady in the eyes. Barrage, find the Baron. After a beautiful ultimate coming through from Seb, we've hounded on him all night. But that was clutch.
That was so clutch, yeah. As all the members collapse on him, he lands the stun, and he gives Governor the time to collapse from the bot side. When then they start to turn the fight, they actually start to get those kills. Because prior to that, Bendy, he was actually starting to get the resets. He actually looked like he was going to put down the damage. But the top lane difference in those team fights once again shows up.
Yeah, absolutely. This is beautiful stuff for Barrage. The Baron now in their pockets, and they're looking to try and push their advantage forward here against Enclave. In the knockout stages of the playoffs now, a win puts them to that all-important Game 3 where potentially they're able to mount the comeback against the tournament leaders.
And yeah, that would be the first seed of, or at least they've got the play-in spot locked in, but Enclave, they want to try and turn this around. They've still got the ability to turn these fights around. You know that, as we said, Fiora has the side lane pressure. She can still continue pushing the side lane. She got that top lane tier 1. Is looking towards the top lane tier 2. They've rotated around the map with the Baron unavailable to be taken. They can now afford to give her that pressure up in the top side, afford to have her hit the towers, and that allows them to then at least try and even out the pressure of this Baron buff.
Yeah, the 1v3-1 here. Barrage leaning into it to try and contest 2 turrets at once, but Seb about to get collapsed on potentially. Looks like Bartiano was able to stop that. So the bot lane tier 2 of 4. Governor shows Prelude his stuff, and looks like Enclave can continue pushing in this bot side. Teleports up for both these top laners, can join the fight at a moment's notice if the engage was to come through here, but it does look like this may just be turret falling. That's going to be the teleport channeled. It is going to be the turret falling. Potentially, it depends on how quickly Prelude gets back to base and how much Barrage want to push their limits. In Game 1, they tried to push them too far. Here it goes.
Still not basing.
Still not basing. And Barrage are still fighting. Here it comes. Teleport to the mid lane turret into the fight.
Need to go right
Aaron
now.
going into the fight. It is the engage. It's the stun onto Zorky in the middle of it all. But look at this. Jacka punch. They're so good. Seb has found the kill. They can't escape Jacka. And that's going to be the Nexus turret falling in just a second. Enclave losing their jungler. Have no frontline threat from the Sejuani. And now Bendy has to show us this Tristana or else it's game. That's going to be Barrage taking the second Nexus turret, and they just can't touch them. Aaron has to run away. This Nexus is falling. Barrage take Game 2, and we're seeing the full series through.
And this time they will not be denied. They get the kill on the Nexus. And Barrage, they close it out in pre-30 minutes. They're able to use that Baron buff so effectively to close that one out. And once they'd taken it, they didn't let up. They went for the 1-3-1. They bought into having all 3 lanes. But you got to say, Prelude, he stayed in that side lane for far too long. He needed to collapse almost instantly. There was no way that they'd give him the time to get the inhibitor towers the other side. He needed a solid minute and a half to get that inhibitor tower down. He needed to be in their base as soon as possible. And he couldn't make it happen. So he needs to get back to his own fountain and try and defend.
It's almost like we're in an early to mid-game meta, and one team has finally figured it out. If you continue to press the aggression, if you continue to use what you have in terms of your strengths, you can win out. And I never expected it to be Barrage, but I'm so glad that someone has turned out and they showed strategically, consistently they can pressure early. Yeah, they threw it last game. 100% that happened, but here they can make it work.
I mean, I want to see the damage graphs and see who was really the talking point, because I have a feeling it may have been Zorky. Moving on into it. Oh, no. Wow. Not at all. It's Jack.
Fairly even spread.
I was thinking it was going to be Seb, but no, it's actually brought out. And I guess
definitely a fairly even spread. I've got to say, I was impressed by how much damage Governor was doing in those fights and how he was actually able to get into those fights effectively. Because when he arrived, all the fights fell apart.
It was more the fact he was able to get these really important ults off, specifically on the Tristana. It was a pick we questioned. I now question it even more based on how it played out. I think picking this heavy scaling is such a dangerous thing to do. And maybe it's overconfidence. I've no idea, because after your first game, you definitely shouldn't have been confident, and they get punished.
I just think this is a game where Kai'Sa was available, where Xayah was available, where all of these late game AD carries are available, and you choose the one that has one of the weakest early games of all.
Jin,
exactly.
as well.
And look at this fight as well. Wait. I really want to. We were talking about when Governor comes in. Just wait for that, because that's when this thing really pops off. Yeah, you have a great Aatrox, but this one's already fed. They managed to turn around a fight that should be 100% over.
Just on Governor's back here, you see this ultimate in, he gets rid of Bendy, and then he uses that to help chase down Prelude. Monkiz is out of position, and so they all just get destroyed on the backside of the fight. And it is a fight that the big stun was landed by Seb, but it didn't do all that much on its own. He needed the rest of the team to come in and collapse, and it bought time for Governor.
Really impressive stuff from Barrage, because from this point onwards, there was just no coming back for Enclave. Prelude didn't respect the threat that was an endgame Barrage, potentially due to the way that Game 1 progressed.
What I want to give a massive shout out to is Barrage's team communications seem to be so solid.
Yeah.
When they make a call, everyone's committed to it, and in those team fights, you're seeing how that plays out. They're focusing consistently better members than Enclave, and they're getting those down. And Seb, you know, had a really questionable Game 1, turns around Game 2, and has a very good one.
Yeah, a really rough start. Potentially didn't respect the early game Aatrox damage.
I definitely respect the
after
point
the second kill, he shored everything up. Yeah,
I definitely respect the point that with the team communication. It's exactly that. If you have a bad play, all 5 members still need to buy into it.
Yep.
Shot caller calls it, because you'd rather have 5 members buy into a bad play than 2 members buy into a good play.
At this point, it's felt like Barrage has been the better team in Game 1 and Game 2.
Yeah.
Which is scary. Because this is the tournament leaders in Enclave.
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching a series that I would call Aaron versus Barrage. That's what I'm watching right now, because Enclave seemed completely thrown. I mean, that game, at least you had Monkiz start to show up at the early game. That gave him a lot of control as well. Then they threw it.
This is where you maybe need the leadership of Rifty back in. This is where you need a leader role that they said they might end up missing back in, because the shot calling seems off, the decision making seems off, and if he's the guy making those decisions, you need him back.
Yeah, absolutely. Hansen before this game told me that they will miss the leading shot calling. I wonder what happens. This is a pretty crazy start to the knockout stages. Forge knockout if you want to get involved in the discussion, but it is time for Game 3 very shortly after a short break.